Hi again. So this video contains a solution to number 5 of the last assessment. So it says a figure shows the positions of points A, B, and C. State the bearing of A. So B from A, letter B, C from A, and letter C, C from B. So before we solve the actual problem, let me refresh your mind on how to compute the bearing, or what is the concept of the bearing. Okay, so bearing, so to find the bearing, keep in mind that you're measuring the bearing of an object from a reference object from the north axis. So if this is the main object, the reference object, and if you're looking for, or if there's another object here, so let's call this A, and then let's call this B. So with reference to A, the bearing of B from A, so this B from A, is measured from the north axis. So from the north axis going to this line. So this is the bearing, it's the measure of the angle, okay, from the north axis to this line. So this is the bearing. And normally and usually bearing is written using 3 digits. So for example, if this angle is about, let's say randomly, about 58 degrees, then you say that the bearing of B from A is 0.58 degrees. Okay, so this is just an example. Now, going back to the question, or going back to the problem, the first is we want to find the bearing of B from A in this diagram. So this is the north axis. So that means if we want to compute for the bearing of B from A, then we have to measure this. Now it's good for us that this is already given. So letter A is just 18 degrees, or 0.18. Now next to compute is the bearing of C from A. So this object C, so from A. So we need to measure the angle from the north axis going to the line connecting A and C. Now, so how do we compute for this? So take note, we don't know the measure of this angle yet. But if we know the measure of this angle, then all we have to do is to add 18 on whatever the measure of this angle. So we need to find a way on how to find this angle. So we look at the other given information. If you look at this is 95 degrees, and this is 52 degrees. And we all know that the sum of the angles in a triangle is fixed. Okay, the sum of the angles in any triangle is a fixed number, and that is equal to 180 degrees. So if this is already 95 degrees and the other one is 52 degrees, this is 7 and 14. So that means if you want to find this angle, then all you have to do is to subtract this 147 degrees from 180. So from 180 degrees minus 147 degrees, that is about 33 degrees. So this angle here is 33 degrees. Now, since we know this angle now, the bearing of C from A is just the angle 18 plus 33. So the bearing of C from A is 18 plus 33 degrees, and that is equal to 51 degrees. So the bearing is 0.51 degrees. Okay, so that's the bearing of C from A. Now what about the bearing of C from B? Now if you take a look at A, B, and C, AB, the reference object is A. So it's from A, but in letter C it's from B. So we are now changing our reference point from A to B. So if this is the new reference point, it is important that you create a new axis. Okay, so still this is your north axis. So if you, or yeah, north axis. So if you want to find the bearing of C from B, what you want to measure is the north, from the north axis of B down to the line connecting B and C. Okay, so C from B, this object with respect to object B. So again, we need to find information, or we need to look at the information in order for us to get the measure of this. Now, it's very tempting to use 95 because we see there's a 95 here, but I think that's not yet enough, or it's not, that information is not enough to get the measure of this. Common to bearing problems is the use of the concept of parallel lines. So if there are two parallel lines and there's a third line crossing the two parallel lines, the alternating angles are always equal. So this angle is always equal to this, provided that these two lines are parallel. Okay, at the same time, so this angle is equal to this angle. So for some problems regarding bearing, you need to find a way. Maybe you need to look at it. Maybe you can use this information, or you can use this idea. Now, when we look at this line and this line, these two lines are parallel, and you can look, or you can consider this line as if, or that is your transversal line, the line crossing the two parallel lines. So with this, once you recognize that, the angle 18, this angle here, is or should be the same to this angle by the concept of parallel lines. Now, so if we know that this is 18 degrees, this one, okay, this angle here, this is 18 degrees, and the bigger angle here is 95, then that will give me the measure of this. Okay, so all I have to do is to take away that 18 degrees from the 95 degrees, and that is 77 degrees. So the other angle here is 77 degrees. Now, what will be the use of this? How can this help us find the bearing from C, of C from B? Now, we just want to measure this. Okay, this is the angle that we want to find, and you already know that this is 77 degrees. And in any given straight line, the angle formed is always 180 degrees. So if I have to take away 77, then I'll be able to get the measure of this angle. So subtracting 77 from 180 will give me the bearing that we want from, or we will get the bearing from of C from B. Okay, so 180 minus 77, this is 3, this is 0, this is 1, so this must be 103 degrees. So that's the bearing of C from B, 103 degrees. Okay, so I hope you were able to follow the solution. If just in case you find something confusing, you just play it again, go back to the part where in which you didn't go back to the part that created confusion, play it again until you understand it. Okay, so I hope this video helped you to solve problems on bearing. So just to end the solution for letter C, the bearing is 103 degrees. Okay, so anticipate there will be problems coming from the same reference point, and on some questions the reference point will be transferred. So like this one, this is from A, and then all of a sudden we shift the reference point, it's from B now. So you need to be careful when dealing with bearing problems. Okay, so that's it.